Sensational Stingette from 2012 to 2016. Captain from 2014 to 2016. Featured in the movie Drumline 2, A New Beat. Toured with R&B legend Keith Sweat. Traveled the world by sea as a dancer on the Princess Cruise Line. Author of her first publication, Legendary Loading. Currently, Asia Martin is the dance instructor for Frederick Douglass High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Join me in welcoming Miss Asia Martin.
Hello, nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you. So thank you for being on. You know, I know you got a lot going on right now. You wrote a book. You wrote a book, Asia.
I did.
You wrote a book. What made you write a book?
Oh my goodness. Well, there are two main things that inspired me to write the book. One, I just love writing in general. Anybody who knows me knows that I always have a notebook with me. And prior to becoming an author, I actually ran a blog entitled gracegryandglory.com. And I did that for about 2 years. And I came to the point where I was ready to move to the next level. And I always knew that I wanted to write a book, but I just didn't know where to begin. So I know that people have come to know me because of my time as an Alabama State University sensational Stingette. So I'm like, that would be a great place to start, to kind of bring my audience along with me as I step into this next chapter of my life. So secondly, as an HBCU dancer, I've seen both the good and bad sides of HBCU dance. The good is what y'all get to see on game day, the sparkly uniforms and us looking beautiful. And the ugly sides are the things that we sometimes encounter when we scroll down to the bottom of those videos, or when we're being critiqued by commentators who haven't exactly been educated on the matters in which they speak. So as someone who is not only a former HBCU dancer, but someone who considers themselves an advocate for HBCUs and HBCU dancers, I'm like, it's time. We got to get these people educated so that they can make better judgments when it comes to speaking about these young ladies, because we work very, very hard and nobody gets to
Yeah, so let me ask you, I mean, do those questions, you know, we don't think about the other side of that lens right there. Do those comments really affect you as a dancer? Tell me a little bit about how that affects you when you read these kind of comments like that, and it's not so good sometimes. What is that? What goes through your mind?
Right. So going back to that time as a teenager, because when I started dancing for the Stingettes, I was only 17 years old. So reading those comments, especially as a crab, you are already dealing with, you know, the upperclassmen and your old heads saying things to you and critiquing you, and they're, you know, not bashful in the things that they say. And then to go on YouTube after all of that, not to mention you're already a student adjusting to college life, so you have all these different pressures. Then you're going under these videos on YouTube, and it's like, people are vicious at times. So it's one thing to critique the dancing, but people sometimes forget that as dancers, we're not make-believe characters. We are real people with real feelings who are having a real life experience just like they are. So it can make you feel a number of different things. Hate, it can make you angry, it can make you sad, depending on the person. You know, I can't speak for everybody else, but somebody might feel suicidal just because of the things that are being said about them. And it's on such a grand scale. Like, as dancers, we're public figures to the HBCU community. So it can
Yeah.
be multiple people at a time jumping on this one,
Yeah.
thing that's being said about you that may not be so positive. So it's hard for teenagers.
Yeah, and to quote the book, just as Asia Martin's book, Legendary Loading, I wrote this book to tell my story, yes, but another significant inspiration was the lack of understanding and the general and outright disrespect that these young ladies experience at the hands of celebrities, commentators, and quote unquote fans. So be cognizant, people. These are people. I don't know. I think I was in a Facebook group the other day, and someone likened HBCU bands to the level of, I guess, since we don't have an NFL or a professional league for bands, that is kind of what that is in a sense. When you go to high school, you go to the next level, obviously. So I think people take that a little far. You can talk about professional athletes. They're getting paid millions of dollars. They can take that. It comes with the territory. But these are kids. These are, early 20 kids still figuring out life. So just be easy on them. All right.
Right.
So okay. So Asia, talk a little bit about the book. As far as, let's start here. The process itself. Writing. Kind of give us a rundown on how you put pen to paper. Give us a little insight on the process that it took to get this book accomplished here.
Well, I didn't literally put pen to paper, but most of this book was written on my iPad and it was done piece by piece. Every day that I thought of something or I felt like I had something to say, I would go to my little iPad, get to typing, and when I started feeling like the words weren't flowing anymore or they were forced, I would stop. So the process of creating Legendary Loading it hasn't even been a year yet. It would have been
Wow.
a year in July. It will be a year in July. Started last July.
Wow. You did this in a year?
Right. And honestly, I didn't think that it would take so long. But
No, I mean that's pretty short in my opinion. I mean, for it to publish a book in a year that's phenomenal in my opinion. But go
honestly,
ahead.
as a first time publisher, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to write the story, I'm going to get it out.
Hmm.
And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where I thought that the graphic design was going to come from. I really had no clue about how to work Amazon KDP, but thank God he placed all the right people in my life to pour into me during this process. And I literally just learned as I went along.
Yeah.
And the process itself has been, honestly, I could write a book about the process
Hmm.
alone because it's
Yeah.
been so fulfilling for me. It's been challenging, but I love to be challenged. If y'all haven't
Yeah.
learned that about me,
Yeah.
I don't sink in the face of challenges. So just becoming a first time author, I was having to learn so much author jargon and learning what ISBNs are and buying your own barcode and copyright stuff and
Yeah.
copyright infringement.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people are gonna be copying and pasting. Look. You got to shut them down quick, Asia.
Listen,
Shut them
my
down quick.
book is copyrighted, so don't try it.
Yeah, don't try it. Look, y'all think y'all putting on the black market somewhere and don't even think it's not happening. So, you speak a little bit. You spoke a little bit just now about how you were able to manage. Like, where did you think you would get the graphics from? This and that. But what I noticed is that when you start taking yourself seriously and you start investing in yourself and showing that you are the real deal, people gonna jump on quickly, man. It's like I see people in indie industry, indie industry from, I'm a photographer also, but different industries that I'm a part of, people put out the rhetoric of what they want to do, but you can
Mhm.
tell it's not in them. Like they're not putting in the work themselves or what. So I'm sure when they saw you
Oh
putting
my
in the work to do what you were trying to do, it's like, let me get on. Asia's a real deal. So, um,
the
what?
work. I
Yeah.
cannot speak on that a little bit
Go
because
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
like the process of writing the book is not just writing the book itself. At least it wasn't for me. I
Hmm.
had a goal. I said, okay, here's my goal with social media. I want to grow my following to at least 20K by the time that this book is out because I need more eyes, right? I
Hmm.
need to establish a clear and concise brand as no longer Asia Martin the Stingette, right? Asia is stepping into a new space, and I want
Right.
you to come along with me. So
Right.
I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
planning my content, posting 3 times a day, building my website from scratch, building my email list from scratch, promoting my online audition preparation course just to kind of get people in the mode of interacting with me on social media because I had to become a different person.
Hold on,
And
Asia. Hold on. You said you was a. I thought you wasn't a business major. How you learn all this stuff, girl?
I'm trying to tell you, I clearly didn't need the degree because it's a mindset.
There you go. Hustler. Hustler. Okay.
Everything, like so many, I've been a part of every single detail of my book, and you're going to see that when you
Mm-hmm.
purchase the book because
Yeah.
I'm a very type A person.
Yeah.
Okay, I like things to be clear and concise in all aspects of my life, not just with my dancing or the way that I teach. When people hear the name Asia Martin, I want it to be, it will be associated with excellence.
There you go.
So writing the treatments for my reveal video and putting together my team. I put them together myself based on the type of work ethic that they have because when I get in that mold, and you probably
Yeah.
know as an artist and a performer yourself, I take what I do seriously and I want people around me that take what they do seriously so that, we're on the same page and it's full force when we come. So gathering my stylist, Miss Alexis Dulaney, my big sister, my photographer, who is actually my little sister. She shot my
Wow.
little sister. My graphic designer, former Miss ASU, who was on my campaign team when I ran for Miss ASU.
Mm.
She did all my graphics. Outside of the graphics that you see on Instagram, I was creating those all by myself. And it has just been the experience of a lifetime to birth this book. That's what it has felt like, just
Mm.
birthing a new baby and just starting a new life as an author. So
I
I
feel
could
like
that
I feel like if you would have turned this camera around, you have a vision board on your wall, don't
I don't have a vision board
you?
right now,
I
but
just knew she was a
I
vision.
have affirmations. I have
Okay. Okay.
affirmations.
She's giving off vision board vibes. I know she got that. So you don't believe in the vision boards? Okay. Okay. All right. So kind of sticking on the topic of the book, you had some very powerful chapters in the book. But let me ask you a question. What was the hardest chapter for you to write? What was like just getting the ideas out, and what was the more challenging chapter in that book for you to write, from what you think?
Hands down, becoming.
Mm.
Becoming was the hardest chapter to write because I touched on a bit of a sensitive topic. And like I said, I keep it real. I don't know how to sugarcoat. I know how to make something sound the way it should sound to keep peace, but it's going to be honest
Mm-hmm.
either
Yeah.
way. So within that chapter, I talk about my feelings as an upperclassman and what it felt like being on a team who had a leader that I didn't agree with her vision,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to navigate that role of, okay, I'm no longer a freshman, so I have a little bit of say so, but I'm still not the captain. So I kind of have to find this middle ground. And in becoming, I speak on the challenges of adapting to that role and having to adapt to it with, of course, you already know I had a vision for what I wanted the team to
Right.
be. That's just the person that I am. I
Yeah.
see what what something could be. So just not being able to implement that vision as an upperclassman was challenging. That
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
challenging space for me. So having to write about that and kind of recant those feelings without bringing up something that is not even relevant to any of our lives at this point. We're all grown women at this point. We have great relationships amongst all of us, but just kind of being able to communicate that in a way that didn't ignite the social media monsters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a few years further removed from you as far as college, but I want to kind of just vouch for you on that. College is the turning point in our life, in my opinion. So for you to, I don't think you should feel a certain way about going back, because college will always remain, to me anyway, that defined me as the person that I am. I learned so much about who I was as far as the things I went through, challenges, because before that, you're a mom and dad's house. You don't know what you have inside of you until you out there, to fend for
Right.
yourself. So that's our first experience in doing so. And it definitely wakes up, it wakes us up. So let's go back a little bit, Asia. So we talked, the book goes deep into your dance experience. You talk about, what got you involved in dance, what inspired you. You said you saw Drumline. I think that was like everybody's aha moment at some point, man.
Right.
From Nick Cannon all the way to Zoe. What was Zoe's character's name?
Oh, I don't remember her name, but I know she was the
Yeah.
captain.
Yeah, but I know, so the book talks about Asia's experience, but I'm more interested, and I think the fans would really appreciate also just kind of getting into tell us a little bit about your childhood experience. You talked about your mom and your dad in your book on how your mom was a school teacher and your dad, he went to trade school and became an HVAC technician. But that stuff like that kind of helps build the story. So tell us a little more about Asia's childhood coming up for dance a little bit.
Okay. Well, a huge part of who I am centers around my spirituality. And the person who planted that seed, I would say, in my life was definitely my grandmother, outside of my parents, who, I speak about in the book, like you said, who raised me to value education and, go to school so that you can get a good job. Those things are important. But my grandmother was the person who really grounded me in my spirituality. So when you see me dance, it's inspired by the things that I went through growing up with my grandmother in the church. She was a
Okay.
Sunday school teacher, and she just loves God so much. So that kind of rubbed off on me, and thank God for my grandmother and for those lessons that she instilled in me, because she was really the one who inspired me to start dancing in front of people, to start performing and really being able to articulate a storyline, whether that was through the music or just something that was in my spirit that maybe I couldn't articulate in words, but dance allowed me to express those feelings for an audience without opening my mouth. So I always credit my dance ability, honestly, the ability to convey a message, to my grandmother. Although my parents will each say, "You got your dance skills from me," and I'm like, I don't know about all.
I was going to ask which side of the family you got the dance from, because you didn't go into that as far as who inspired you within the family. So are you the only one that really dances?
Exactly. I was going to say nobody in my family, that's in my immediate family, does anything artistic. They have great jobs now, policemen, nurses, teachers, but nobody has really tapped into that artistic side before me. So,
and you know how that can be a challenge, because I'm a artsy person as well. We have our left brain, right brain, and I'm heavy on the right, Asia. I anything from visual arts to music. So coming up in a household where your family, obviously your mom values education because she went on to get her master's and everything, but she's a teacher, right?
yes.
Your dad, you said he was heavy into literature and writing. So how was that when you explained, Mom, Dad, I want to go to school, I want to go to college, I want to be a dance major? Like, how did they receive that?
I am so glad you asked me that question. I honestly did not go to school for dance initially because of that very reason. So when I decided that I was going to go to Alabama State, initially my choice was based on the Stingettes. Not even go keep it 100 with you.
Absolutely.
I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to do something artistic. I just didn't know that I would pursue that as a career. Right? So going to Alabama State, I did the safe thing, which was to choose a major that in my mind at the time, I felt like would make me money. So where do you go when you think you want to be creative and you want to make money? Take a guess.
Business administration. That's the go-to. I did the same thing. That's like business. Who don't want to be a business owner? Let's go.
Exactly. So I went straight to the College of Business Administration.
There you go.
And they had me wearing these gray suits and these little 2-inch kid heels. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot do this. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is, when I came to Alabama State in 2012, they didn't even have a dance program. So what was
Wow.
that? In 20, had to be 2013,
Mm-hmm.
they started the dance program. And I'm like, okay, God, you
Yeah.
brought me all the way to Alabama State. I know in my heart that I love to dance, but
Mm-hmm.
because my family is not open to this as a career path, I've come here and I've decided to do this thing that would make them happy. But in my heart, I know you didn't bring me here and you didn't bring this program here for nothing to happen, right? I
Yeah.
took that as a sign to step out on faith and changed my major from business marketing to dance. And it was literally
Mm-hmm.
like a scene out of Drumline because I had
Yeah.
a frat brother at the time who was kind of in my ear, like, Asia, like, you can do this. Like, you love to dance. Go ahead, just change your major. So he,
You had a Devin Miles. You had a real life Devin Miles, huh? Was this a friend or a friend?
what you say?
Was this a friend or a friend?
Oh Lord, he was my
Uh,
frat brother, and I
okay.
definitely
Okay. Okay.
appreciate him for all his help.
Okay. All right. So, brothers, sisters, any siblings?
Yes, I have two baby sisters and a little brother. So I'm the oldest.
Okay. Did any of them follow your footsteps into dance?
No,
No.
not even close. My little sisters are so cool. Like, they are into shoes and sports and video games, and I'm like the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Then my little brother, he's the baby. So he's just being a kid at this point, still finding what he's into, but he's another one into those video games and things. And I'm just out there on the island.
Yeah. So we talk about arts a little bit, and I'm sure you've heard the same, but uh, the arts are under attack in the society that we live in, Asia. From as far as funding, and you're a dance instructor, so I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about here. So when people talk about the necessity of arts in our society, like what can you speak on? How important are the arts in your opinion?
Honestly, I wouldn't be the person that I am without the arts. Like I
Mm-hmm.
told you before, the arts and dance specifically gave me a vehicle to speak my truth. As somebody who's naturally introverted
Yeah.
and doesn't prefer to speak, dance allowed me to acquire life skills that maybe I wouldn't have gained in other spaces because I don't feel comfortable putting myself out there in those ways outside of the arts. So for me, growing up, my coaches were the ones who really inspired me to take life by the horns. Honestly, they taught me things through dance that I still apply today in my real life, in my everyday
Yeah.
life. So I think that the arts are invaluable in that
Mm-hmm.
sense because you have those people like me who have stories to tell and who have ideas to share. But if you take away or you don't fund
Mm-hmm.
their vehicle, their chosen method of communication, then you're missing out on what
Mm.
could be the next genius or the
There
next
you go.
brilliant idea. So
There you go.
the arts are very important.
In the book, I bring you guys along with me. From the moment I decided to become an HBCU dancer, through the trials and tribulations that came along with being an HBCU dancer, all the way through the woman I've become today. I just know you guys are going to fall in love with this never before told story, and I cannot wait to read your reviews. If you
Yeah, I mean, in your book, you talked about the importance of you getting accepted into, I think it was Mount Zion High School,
Yeah, shout out to the
and
Bulldogs.
yeah, but you talked about how the had you not gotten into that program, you talked a little bit about the environment that you grew up in on the other side of town. So um, I always talk about band in general as far as how band saves lives. It's a lot of people, a lot of kids that I keep in touch with that are dealing with certain struggles, and band is their outlet. And I'm sure it's the same way for dance. Because had it not been for you getting into that school, who knows I'm sure you're a talented person. I'm sure you would have made a way. But I'm just saying, things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and I think the point you made in the book about the importance of you getting into that school was significant, and it means a lot for a lot of people because it's a similar story to a lot of people. So yeah, so beyond Mount Zion, you had your eyes on something bigger. I think you even said you knew that was your entryway into that world. But you wanted to be a Stingette.
Yes.
Did you consider any other schools? I know you said Spelman. But you didn't. You weren't sold. You wasn't sold on that. You said you also looked at Clark Atlanta, I believe. And was that it? You just look at any other SWAC schools? The question's going to come up, Asia.
Right.
Was that the only SWAC school you looked at? Because
Oh, no. I looked at everybody.
Okay.
But just initially, being that I'm from Atlanta, I just kind of honed in on those two schools specifically because they were right around the corner.
Absolutely.
But looking at SWAC schools, nobody really stood out to me until I saw the Stingettes. I could appreciate everybody else, but I was sold on the Stingettes.
Where did you first see Alabama State Stingettes? Where did you first see them at?
Well, I talk about it in my book. So the first time I saw them, I was actually inspired to watch a video by my high school dance captain.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun. Thank you.
So she sent you a link. This is definitely in the YouTube era. So, And from that point, you were sold. Okay.
Sold. There was nobody. What other schools? Nobody.
That's how you're supposed to think. Absolutely. So speaking of the Stingettes, there are many styles across the board, as far as HBCU dance styles. Everybody has their own, flavor that they bring or whatever. So how would you describe Stingette style? What is it that makes a Stingette?
So I quote this in my book as well, and I want to make sure that I can repeat it or bring it back to life the same way I wrote it in my book. I would say the Stingette style is sassy and classy, flashy, not trashy. We are every girl's dream and every man's fantasy. Come on for the poetry.
There you go. Okay, and this is a calling that you may not have known you had. You might be a poet. Okay,
right, I'm telling you.
You may be a poet. All right, so and like you said at the end, it's every girl's dream, every man's fantasy, right? Yes. So, like I said, I haven't told you, about my audience. But my audience, we're about 75-80% male dominated on Meet Me on the 50. And most of us are in our 25 to 30-year-old range. So, still, figuring out life. But, we getting it together. But the guys are going to want to know, what's the dating life like right now, Asia?
The dating life is solid.
Okay, so she is spoken for. Y'all behave yourself. That's all she going to say. All right. So you marched for the band 2012 to 2016. You became captain in 2015, right?
2014
and 2015. You did back-to-back years.
Yes.
So what sets you apart, you think, as because everybody talks about Asia Martin. What are some of the things you think that just go ahead and toot your own horn a little bit? What are some things that you think you left with the band?
What sets Asia Martin apart? Well, for most people, I'm sure they would say my dramatics. I am very exuberant in my performance, which is funny because not so much in real life, but like I said.
I think it's more of a introvert thing because I can act. I'm the same way. I'm a social introvert, Asia. But yeah, when it's time to perform, I was drum major for my band as well, so I feel you.
Nice. Yeah. So whenever I get a chance to, I'm gonna just say act a fool for lack of better terms, I'm gonna cut up because I love to perform. So I think that was one major thing that set me apart from the rest. Not that other people didn't perform, but I was just very extra.
Yeah.
But we got personally, what I believe set me apart. Obviously being a two-time captain, because that's not something that we do within the Stingette organization, or they do rather.
Yeah.
And also, I have to say I was an excellent leader because I brought up girls who went on to become leaders as Miss ASU. I brought up a captain who brought up a crowd to captain. Like, if you look at the girls who I trained, the girls who came under me, you will be able to say notable things about each one of them, because not only did I present myself as their leader, I taught them how to be leaders within their own lives. Even if they never became captain, there's a certain aura, there are certain skills that a leader should have. And I feel like I instilled those skills within them. And I talk about that in the book. Yeah, I was a great captain, but the thing that matters most to me is the legacy that I brought along with me, right? The girls that came after me.
Yeah. So at Alabama State, you guys have another group that's just as talented. They're called the honeybees, and we don't really talk about them as much as the Stingettes. As far as maybe there is a lot more conversation that I'm missing, but I think I want to bring them more into the conversation. So I plan on having their captain on soon as well. But what is the relationship like with the Stingettes and the honeybees, from your experience?
Okay, I was going to say, from my experience, we're honestly just two separate entities. They respect what we do. We respect what they do. We don't really interact too much because they work hard and we work hard. And when they're working hard, we're working hard. The only time we really get to see them is when, we come off the field after our feature and they go on. And it's never been any type of rivalry, although that has been the narrative that has been pushed by, I say it probably started with Bama State Style, because they played on that storyline, the bigger girls versus the smaller girls. But that, in my mind, that never existed, because, like I said, it takes skill to do what we do. It takes skill to do what they do. And I always respected them just as performers, just like we were, just in a different capacity.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I think that, like I mentioned before, I want to bring the honeybees more into the conversation also. So I said, let me ask Asia what she thought about it. So I'm glad to hear that it is a good working relationship with the two groups. So you mentioned Bama State Style. How was it shooting that?
Bama State Style was not really heavily centered on the Stingette. So honestly, my mind was focused on working, right? I'm not thinking about y'all storyline and what y'all trying to push. Y'all want me to speak to such and such? Okay, let's do that so that I can get back to it. Of course, I appreciated being on TV. That was very nice. But I wasn't really into the drama and all that. But it was smooth.
I mean, not even just TV. I mean, YouTube has taken over. It's like, what do you think some of the, let's talk about the good first. The good of social media and YouTube and this era that we're in now. Obviously, you drop a video on Saturday. This is your performance. It's going to be live 30 seconds out. It's going to be out there. It's no longer a time and let's wait and see or pick and choose what we want to have out there. But now it's out there. So what is your thoughts on this microwave type of society that we live in now? You dance, it's out there. What do you think about it? The good first. Let's talk about the good things.
I was going to say, because there's definitely two sides. Well, I speak about this in my book, Legendary Loading. I speak about how, as dancers, having the luxury of always being recorded is phenomenal, especially if you plan to pursue dance professionally, because not only are the people who are in your close proximity seeing you, but people across the world have the ability to see you and what you have to offer, what you can bring into their organization should they choose to reach out to you once you're done dancing in college. So I think that as dancers, my message to you guys is to definitely take your appearance and your performance seriously, because this is only a stepping stone, I'd say, HBCU dance and just bands in general. You could take the brand that you create and take it to another level. Like, I've been so blessed to be able to do, right? It didn't stop with what you guys saw me doing on YouTube, but it has grown into me becoming a professional dancer, being able to tour and writing books and having a blog, and having that following that supports you is priceless. So just value it for sure.
Yeah. So the ugly side, we talk about the comments and the things that I would say that may be one of the things that I don't like so much about it. But what's some of the things you don't think are as valuable when it comes to social media and YouTube and things like that, as far as bands go?
Right. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but because people do live in such a microwave society where everything looks like it just becomes a thought and then it's immediately produced, they don't value processes, they don't value history, they don't value the work that is being put in by these professionals, right? Like you said before, as HBCU dancers and as HBCU bandsmen, we are working nonstop every day to produce these shows that you guys see. So I think that because the videos and the content comes to the web so fast, people are losing the value that we have within our culture from these HBCU bands. Like, if you look in Indonesia or Brazil, these people don't have HBCU bands or HBCU dancers. But the crazy thing is, I hear from people from these countries and these different places who come to me via Instagram or social media, of course, but they have more appreciation for the art than people in our own country, our own people, right? And that drives me insane, which is another reason why I had to get this book out, because I would like for there to be a greater appreciation for the work that we put in. And that's only going to happen if people can see it, at least somewhat. Of course, you're not going to know what it's like until you're in it, or if you ever get the chance to be in it, you won't know. But the book is kind of meant to open eyes, to kind of alleviate that issue of the hatefulness and just the ignorance is what it is, because people just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a point. Are you familiar with Showtime at the Apollo?
Of course.
I was about to say I might be kind of going a little too far back for you, but you remember the premise of the show, and you had to be on point. It's like that was a tough crowd, but that's not just that crowd that's tough. I mean, you look at any HBCU game and look at a halftime show. Is to get somebody on their feet and cheer for you coming off that field. You had to have been doing something spectacular, and I think that you asked the question on why other cultures may show more appreciation or more, just love for it. You got to understand that I think that I had to make myself understand is we're tastemakers. We you look at just different currency throughout the world. We talk about Bitcoin or whatever it may be, but entertainment is a currency, and if the people that are developing that, Black folk has been on leading that charge forever. So the double-edged sword with that is when you are responsible for making that taste, you also it's going to be harder to please that demographic also, because, they're just as talented as you are, in different areas of their life, So I'm just saying, trying to shed some light to you in a sense where that may be the reason why you see other cultures.
Nah, I ain't going for that.
You don't think so?
I'm not going for that, because just because you're talented at what you do, you don't know nothing about what I do. And that doesn't give you the right to critique in such a malicious way, especially.
Oh, no, not that part. Absolutely. I was going to say,
there's a way to say it.
No. I was speaking more so about just the if you get crickets, if somebody doesn't say anything, it doesn't show love. Is that still as bad to you?
I would prefer you not to say anything if you don't have anything to say.
There you go.
But
there you go.
When you just coming out the wazoo, just taking your daily issues out on children, that.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. So, speaking of bands, you can't look. I know you're gonna be partial. You're gonna show some favoritism. But name your top two bands. Two bands. Give me two bands that you really enjoy listening to outside of Alabama State Mighty Marching Hornets. Come on. Yes, come on. give me two bands you really like. I mean, it's no thing. It's no
Oh,
thing.
of
You can
course
be sure
not. I
about.
was gonna say you're gonna learn that I'm a very honest person. I ain't gonna
Okay.
sugarcoat nothing. I ain't gonna fake the funk. So
Okay.
honestly, gotta give it to Southern.
Okay.
Southern's band, they don't call them a jukebox for nothing, child, because they got.
Yeah.
And other than Alabama State, of course, y'all know
Mm-hmm.
I'm a swag girl. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't really, don't beat me up, but I don't listen to too many
That's
other
all good.
bands
Yeah.
outside of Southern and Jackson State.
Yeah.
I think that,
Yeah. I think that Southern, yeah, Southern is definitely up there though. So I can value that. On your YouTube, look, make sure y'all follow Asia. Drop your YouTube channel real quick. What is it?
well, my YouTube, I don't even really too much pay attention to. I would prefer you to subscribe on asianandshay.com to keep up with my
Boom.
future book releases and upcoming news. And you can also
Okay.
follow me on Instagram at I'm Asia Nashay. That's IMASIANAC.
Okay. And I'll drop all that information in the comments and in the description. So I was going to ask on the YouTube channel about the Blurred Lines series that you do with other dance teams, and I think that's pretty dope. So if you haven't seen it, what it is, Asia will work with, for example, you work with the J Sets. I think you worked recently with
Taylor.
was it Clark?
Oh,
No, it was a school in Atlanta. It was a Spellman's,
mhm.
yeah. And so pretty much all the different traditional counts that these lines are known for, they'll teach Asia, and Asia will do vice versa as far as teaching them Stingette counts. So it's good for unity. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about what made you come up with that concept. 'Cause I think it's pretty dope.
So crazy enough, this concept that has become Blurred Lines was inspired by a one-off video that I did with one of my coworkers after school one day. So he is an HBCU graduate as well. He's a graduate of
Hmm.
Fisk, and he was actually a Jubilee singer. So at the time, I was building my social media and just trying to be more active and be engaged with my followers. So I'm like, Mr. Jones, come over here. Let's do something cute for the gram. And he's always down for my shenanigans. So he's like, okay, girl, I got you. What's up? So I was like, I'm going to teach you some counts from Alabama State because I was a former Stingette captain. And you teach me a little bit of music or just teach me how to
Yeah.
sing, essentially,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it can only be a 10-minute lesson, but just for entertainment. So he's like, okay. So he played some music on the piano and he taught me a little bit of a song. And then I did my video where I taught him some Stingate counts. So that video ended up getting over 70,000 views on Instagram, which is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the most views that I've ever gotten on a video. So from then,
So
hmm,
did you sing? I mean, yeah, we forget the dancing now. So did you end up singing?
I did. I kind of brushed over that part. You didn't see me try to move.
Oh no, we got to go back and check that out, y'all. Look, we got you. All right, well, go ahead. Dancing's cool, but we got to hear your vocals now. We got to hear your vocals.
Go 1 and 2 and 1 with a hero.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so that's dope. That's dope. Okay.
so I took that as a sign that okay, this is something that my followers are really interested in. So I
Hmm.
asked them, would you guys be interested in seeing an entire series where I teach people different Stingette counts or different aspects from the Stingettes? And they were like,
Yeah.
yes, of course. So I was like, okay, well, how can I do this? And then also having the notion that I am getting ready to put out this book. So it kind of all worked together, glory to God, because my whole mission is HBCUs and HBCU unity and educating the masses on these different styles and our lifestyles. So I'm like, I'm gonna call up my girls because thank God I have a great relationship with numerous different HBCU dance teams. And I'm like, y'all, listen, I'm getting ready to put out this book. This can be a two-way street. Y'all kind of help me get this message out there, and I can promote whatever projects that you guys have coming. And let's just have a little bit of fun. So It's
Yeah.
been amazing.
That, that's dope. That's dope, man. So you see, you can work. People make this narrative on how they think different teams may hate each other, and at the end of the day, Saturday it is war. It is.
Right
You look across the field. I might hate you at that moment. I get it,
at that
but
moment.
it's not. I think 24/7. I think that the fans may look at it as it being a thing where it's a constant thing, and it's good to hear that you reached out to other squads and they were down to worked along with you. So, yeah. So outside of that, Asia, let's talk a little more personal. So, what's important to you? What are some things that's important to you, Asia?
What are some things that are important to me?
And I know you value religion. You talk about your spirituality. That's definitely something that's important to you, and that's good to hear. So, what are some other things some of the things that are important to you? Yeah.
Yes, so I would say definitely molding and inspiring the next generation. Hence why I probably went into education. But if you haven't gathered that from the conversation thus far, I love
Yeah.
to just be a light in any way that I
Yeah.
can, in whatever way that God sees fit, whether it's through my writing or through just being a mentor. I
Yeah.
want to see not only little girls, but just people in general really begin to chase after their dreams. I have a saying that I kind of live by, and it's turning dreams into reality with grace, style, and fortitude. And that's really my mission. Not just, like I said, not just for girls, but for anybody who looks at me and sees me as an inspiration, right? I want to be able to have people look at me and say, well, Asia did it, and she's not any different than me. So I can take whatever skills and whatever gifts that I've been blessed with and take it to the next level as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the word fortitude, so that is something very prevalent in the organization. Yeah, you go. I was going there. So, how did you balance Greek life and Stingette life? Because I mean, that's those are two big things in college, right there, Delta and Stingette. So, how'd you balance those two?
Right. So when I actually pledged, I was not a Stingette anymore. I wasn't dancing on the team, but I can speak to the process of just trying to get in their line of vision as an HBCU dancer because I wasn't able to attend the events or really get to know many of them one-on-one. So that in itself was super challenging for me. I knew I wanted to be a Delta for as long as I can remember, from as far back as I can go to the moment that I actually even knew what Greek organizations were. I wanted to be a Delta because my coaches were Deltas. And they were the women who really inspired me to just want to be excellent. So I'm like, okay, I want to follow in their footsteps. I want to be like them. So coming to Alabama State, I auditioned for the Stingettes my freshman year. So there was no mingling. Nobody knew me outside of the girl that they saw on game day. So thank God that girl was good enough to be.
But you know what? That may have worked in your favor because even in your book, you talked about how you weren't able to live the traditional freshman life. You talked about how even the freshman rules. You had to stay pretty much out of sight, out of mind, which is probably the smart thing to do. But in a sense, some people can go to college and make a name for themselves. I ain't gonna say no bad, but you understand what I'm saying. So the other way, right? So by you being on that straight and arrow, I'm sure when it was time to be selected for Delta, they saw the accolades that you put forth that were positive, and they weren't able to see anything else because you didn't do it. That you were on the straight and arrow. So I think even going back to your high school days, you were one of the few. I want to say from what you're telling me is that you had it planned out. Like you knew what it is you wanted. You said, I know. Look, I'm going to work. Mount Zion, boom, we're going to check this box off. We're going to get to the you knew what it is that you wanted to get to. You said you knew you wanted to be a Delta, so you had to figure it out, Asia.
Yes, I was very, very clear in the things that I expected from my college experience, even though a lot of those things did not happen the way that I foresaw them happening, I still think that I definitely had a very well-rounded college experience. And I can say that what I'm taking from it, or what I was able to take from it into the real world, was way more valuable than what it may have been if I didn't experience college the way that I did. We might not even be here.
Nah, I think you was meant to be here, Asia, whether it happened this way or that way. But we are here in 2021, and you are the dance instructor over at Frederick Douglass. So tell us a little bit about your role there, some of the programs. Just give us a little insight on that role over at Frederick Douglass.
Okay, so I was blessed with the opportunity to be the dance instructor at Frederick Douglass High School this past year. So, of course, my first year as a teacher has been in the midst of a pandemic. So that's been very, very strenuous. Obviously, your first time doing anything is already enough pressure, but just the added pressure of COVID-19 has been just a constant push for me. I've been adapting, learning how to use technology, trying to connect with my students through the camera. So it's definitely taken me again to another level in my ability to communicate, my connection with people, my skills as an educator, as a dance educator. So it's been fulfilling, but I can't even lie to you, it's been so hard. And
you come a background of performance. I think anybody who had to take this has been a humbling 2020, Asia. I'm sure you can say. I'm preaching to the choir here, but I know you were constantly on the road. You were gigging. You were doing a crew. So for you to, how hard did that hit you? Not just financially, but just emotionally and everything. How hard did 2020 hit you as a performer?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, it didn't hit me financially, thank God, because at the onset of the pandemic, I was being hired for this teaching position. So I can do nothing but thank God for that. But just emotionally, I think for everybody, it's been so draining because it's one thing after the next. If it's not, it's just so many things. It's not black on black crime, it's police brutality or just our president, our former president. So it's been just all these compounding traumas added on to worried about if you're going to be healthy or how to wash your hands or do I need to get the vaccine or not. Like this year has honestly, if it hasn't made you into a beast, honestly, for these people who have been blessed, glory to God, we have survived 2020. If it hasn't brought something different out of you, I don't know what you've been doing. I
just said the same. I had the same conversation. I said this was the moment in time where it was either sink or swim. We're going to find out how good of a swimmer you are, or if you ain't got it in you, we're going to find out. So this was definitely that. I agree with you on that. Absolutely. So we see where you are now, where you've been. So where are you headed? Let's talk a little. What's next for Asia Martin? Give us a little insight because we don't want to give them too much. We want to I think we have future books to write. We got to make sure we have some subject matter. But give us a little insight on what are some things we can look forward to in Asia Martin.
Well, like you said, I am pursuing this authorship thing head on. I am going to write more books, and just personally, I'm gonna bring y'all into my world. So I have specific visions for myself. Like you said, you kind of took on to that I'm very goal oriented. I know what I want to do and I lay it out and I try to do those things if I can, if it's God's will. So what's next for Asia? Honestly, this book is going to be a staple in Black culture. Let's just start with that. When people think of legendary loading and they hear of young dancers or just people who love HBCUs and HBCU dance in general, they're going to say, well, have you read Legendary Loading? Oh, you want to be an HBCU dancer? Have you read this book? You need to get this book because it lays everything out for you. So that's number one. Number two, my name is going to be a staple in the Black dance community. That's a super bold statement for me to make, but at this place in my life, I'm not afraid to make bold statements like that. When I think of people like Debbie Allen, she is somebody who inspires me. And although I will never be exactly like Debbie Allen, she is definitely an inspiration when it comes to the woman that I see. Like when I look, maybe 10, 20 years in the future, I can see myself definitely having a studio and being a published, or I'm already a published author, excuse me.
About to say, hold on now, hold on. Yeah.
Listen, but just publishing more books and coming out with products. I think I would like to do that, to have products accompany each of my books, having them be inspirational, whether it's a journal or just not. I have some things work. I want to be a brand. I want to continue to brand myself as the woman who inspires people to go after their dreams with grace, style, and fortitude. That's Asia Martin.
There you go. There you go. So Legendary Loading is available now, and it's available, I know it's on Amazon. What are some other outlets that you can go? Where can they find the book at, Asia?
Right. So I am the publisher, so I can sell it wherever I want. But right now, only on Amazon. I do plan to get a few copies and do some signing for some of the books. But right now, let's just focus on Amazon. So Amazon.com and Kindle.
All right, there you go. And it's a great read. I read it it took me about 2 or 3 days. I mean, I was heavily into it. When I get into a book, I'm into it. And it's definitely a page turner. You're going to enjoy the book, especially if you're part of the dance community. You're going to love it. If you're not, it's definitely educational, because I'm on the band. I didn't know much about bands, but I definitely learned a lot through Asia right here. So thank you for writing that book. Thank you for being on the show. I'm going to follow back up with you, in the future. We can see what else is going on with you. But this has been Meet Me on the 50 with Asia Martin. Legendary Loading. Book out now. Asia, go on Amazon.com. All right?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. See you later.